Hello and welcome to the Research Library video tutorials. This tutorial, titled Word Concordance, was developed to explain the general operations of the concordance system. It will focus on the development of a concordance keyword and conclude with web button extensions. In this example, the main form search engine will be used to assist in developing a new concordance keyword named Testament. Type Testament into the main search box and press Enter. Move the search results form to the side. There are 3 parallel verses where Christ compares his blood to the New Testament: Matthew 26:28, Mark 14:24, and Luke 22:20. Select Mark 14:24 by double-clicking it in the search results form. Type the word Testament into the concordance keywords column. Click the empty record that appears below to initiate a record save on the new entry. Finally, click the word Testament to verify the entry by the appearance of a cross-reference for Mark 14:24. Mark 14:24 now contains the first Testament keyword. The concordance contains a two-way copy between the keywords and the search box. To copy a keyword into the search box, double-click it. This copy function will be used to add the Testament keyword to selected verses. The search results reveal the only instance of the words Old Testament in the KJV New Testament is found in 2 Corinthians 3:14. Double-click that verse to make it the active verse. Next, double-click the word Testament in the concordance search box. The cross-reference column on the right lists the 2 verses now linked by the Testament keyword. Clicking either verse in the cross-reference column will make that verse the active verse. Click the Print Preview button to the right of the search button to format and list the linked verses in the active viewer. The concordance provides a way to add context to keywords by the inclusion of starting and ending verses. For this example, start by clicking the Primary Version tab and scroll up 3 verses. Context will be added to verse 14 by including verses 11 through 16 and also verses 13 to 14. Click the Concordance tab and type 13 as the start verse and 14 as the end verse. Next, double-click the search box to create another keyword for Testament. Then type 11 in the start box and 16 in the end box. Click the Preview button to regenerate the list. Notice the multiverse keywords are formatted as a single passage. Click the LN checkbox to add line numbers to multiple verse passages. The multiverse passages now have line numbers. Click the AV checkbox to print in the alternate version, which is currently set as Young's Literal Translation. There are many other ways to gather information on the word Testament. One way would be to compare the King James translation with other translations. Before proceeding, click Mark 14:24 in the cross-reference to make it the active verse. This button lists the active verse in the viewer for all internally stored or local versions. These verses indicate the word covenant and testament are interchangeable. This web button was programmed to open the Bible Gateway website to a long list of versions for the active verse. These verses also indicate the word covenant and testament are interchangeable. Scanning the search results of the King James Version reveals a verse that also supports interchangeability. A brief analysis of Hebrews 9:15 reveals that Paul is referring to the Old Covenant when referring to the First Testament. His words would seem to support that the New and Old Testaments are the New and Old Covenants. In any case, the context of Hebrews 9:15 is worth considering in developing the Testament key word. We will create 2 concordance key words, one for verses 14 to 15 and another for verses 15 through 20. Double-click the search box twice to create 2 Testament keywords for this verse. Enter the 2 contexts. Strong's Concordance is another tool that can be used to examine the word testament. With Mark 14:24 as the active verse, click the Strong's number 1242 found inside the angle brackets in the interlinear box next to the word testament. The definition indicates that the word diatheke comes from diatithomai, which is displayed in the bottom window when the number 1303 is clicked. These definitions also indicate that testament and covenant are interchangeable. Double-click the Strong's number in the angle brackets to copy it into the search box at the bottom of the form. Click the Search button at the bottom right of the form to perform a search of Strong's number 1242. These results also indicate the words testament and covenant are interchangeable. Other areas of possible research are the many commentaries available on the Internet. Some web buttons on the main and primary version forms have been programmed to provide context-sensitive access to commentaries. Many commentaries in PDF format can be downloaded from the Internet Archive and stored in the Research Library. See the Publications Form help file for more information. The main search engine can be used for other related searches during the keyword development process. For example, a search for the word covenant will yield a list of 280 verses. The search words testament and covenant were temporarily added to the search box selection list, providing a route to move quickly back and forth between them. Scroll or page down the search results form to find Hebrews 8:6 and double-click it to make it the active verse. This passage explains why there was a need for a new covenant. For example, verse 9 indicates that Israel broke the Old Covenant. Let's add this passage to our Testament key word. Double-click the search box twice to create 2 entries for the Testament key word in Hebrews 8:6. Finally, add context to the new key words, first for verses 6 through 9, and next for verses 6 through 13. Click the Preview button to examine the results thus far. These passages are now formatted for copying into sermons, papers, and articles. Over time, the numbers and names of key words can get unwieldy. In the beta test version of the Research Library, there are over 700 named key words, and many contain one or more of the same words as other keywords. For example, 11 keywords contain the word covenant. A concordance keyword search for the word covenant yields 344 verses spanning all 11 keywords. 4 different keywords are shown on this single page. To reduce the number of records in the search results, filter the keywords for the search text by right-clicking on the search box and selecting Filter Search Text from the pop-up menu. The Concordance Keyword Filter form contains a list of all keywords that contain the search text, in this case, covenant. To examine the first keyword, covenant broke, for an entry in Hebrews, double-click it. Then click the search button to execute a search. Page or scroll down to the last record in the search results. Earlier, in the development of the Testament keyword for Hebrews 8:6, it was noted there was a reference in verse 9 to Israel breaking the covenant. The covenant broke keyword can be added to that reference. There was another keyword, covenant land broke, in the search results. The Concordance search engine supports a full set of search criteria to assist in refining the search. The default is Match All Words. Select Match Entire Field, then click the search button. The results now include only the covenant broke keyword. The Concordance form contains 9 web buttons that can be programmed for context-sensitive Internet access based on the active verse. These buttons have an additional feature not found in other web buttons. They can also be programmed to pass search text to a website URL, for example, to a web-based concordance or dictionary. This web-based dictionary opens to the word testament. So does this concordance. And this encyclopedia. Web buttons significantly enhance the power and flexibility of the research library. This concludes the Keyword Concordance tutorial. The next Research Library video tutorial is titled Library Publications. Thank you for watching.